It's Brick Breaker. Ask your parents about it. Sure, they were wasting a number of hours playing this game back when they were younger. And today we are going to create a slight variation of this game. I call it one player Pong. So let's get started. So go to scratch.mit.edu and click on create. Once you're there and the editor loads, we're going to get rid of this sprite that's here, this cat, by right-clicking on the sprite and choosing delete. Now we've got a nice clean surface in Scratch to start our program. So let's head over and build a backdrop first. What we're going to do here is we're going to create a kill zone so that when our ball is bouncing around the screen, anytime it touches the bottom of the screen, which is going to be a red rectangle, every time the ball touches the bottom of the screen, the game is going to stop, you'll lose a point, something to that extent. So we've created our backdrop here, nice simple one, and we're going to rename this one to stage. I like to keep all of my backdrops, all of my sprites labeled properly so that when we are really into the game, programming it, that we know exactly what elements we're using and working with. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to head over to create a new sprite. We're just going to pick one from the library that's there. We're going to take this ball, so we're going to select that, click OK, and then we're going to make another one, and I'm just going to find something to represent the paddle. We could use these buttons, we could use cars, these convertibles here, the divers, really anything will work that will make your, anything will work for your paddle. The key here, the laptop, magic wand. I'm just going to use this one right here, paddle. It's already labeled, so it's going to be nice and easy. Otherwise, we'd go in and we would have to rename them to paddle and ball, but now we're not going to because we found them in the library. So let's start with the programming. So we're going to first select our ball sprite, and we will work in this screen right here where we program everything for how the ball is going to interact in our program. So what we need to do first is we need to start an event, and this is basically how the game is going to start. So we can choose the flag to start the game. Only problem is I'm going to program the paddle to interact with the keyboard. So if we're using the green flag, then we have to then rush over to the keyboard and take control. So I'm going to choose when the spacebar is pushed. So when the spacebar is pushed, I want our ball to always start in the same place. So I'm going to get some coordinates for the ball. So I always want the ball to start, let's say, towards the top here. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's an X, Y coordinate down here where my mouse is. And you can place the ball and you can take those X, Y coordinates and you can use those and plug them in to the X, Y coordinates that we have over here in our script editor. So I saw that X was at 0, and for the Y coordinate, X is at 150. Now what do we want this ball to do? Well, when we hit the space bar, the ball will go to X and 150. So I'm going to hit space bar, I just did it there. The ball, hit space bar again, and you can see that's where the ball is going. It's going to the coordinates of 0 and 150. So next thing I wanted to do is I want the ball to point in a direction. So we don't want the ball going straight down. We want it kind of going off to the side so that we can make a fun game. So I'm going to choose the point and direction. Right now it's pointing at 90 degrees. 90 degrees is going to go straight down. I don't want that. But these are the only options that I have. So I'm going to choose manual override just by clicking on it, and I'm going to pick a direction of 45 degrees. So let's go over here, let's test it, and you can see, so you can't really see it at all because all it's doing is it's starting in the X, Y coordinate that we set, and then it's just pointing in a direction of 45 degrees. So it doesn't mean too much just yet. So we need to get this ball moving. So what we're going to do is we want the ball to constantly be moving and bouncing off the edges. So what we'll do is we're going to hit control. We want this to always happen forever. We want this ball just bouncing for now. So what do we want it to do? Well, we want it to forever bounce off of the edges. So we already have our forever loop in here. We're going to head back into our control script. So that's going to be our motion. And if on edge, we want this ball to bounce. So right down here, we're going to click, we're going to drag it over. If on edge, it's bouncing. Then we're going to decide how fast this ball is going to move. So it defaults to 10 steps. Let's see how fast that is. Okay, not too bad. So now the ball is just going to be bouncing off the edges. Okay, not bad. So we want this ball to now interact with our kill zone down here. So we're going to program the ball to interact with the kill zone as well as the paddle. Let's put the paddle down there. Okay, so back to the ball script. Make sure you're working in that. I'm just going to stop this. Again, when the key is pressed, so the spacebar key is pressed, I want the ball not only bouncing off of the edges, I want it looking for the paddle, and I want it looking for our kill zone. So I want it forever to be doing this. So we're going to take the forever script. We're going to do some if-then statements. So if, put that in there, if the ball senses the paddle, so if the ball is touching the paddle, then I want the ball to turn so many degrees. Now this is set to 15 degrees. I've played with this for a while now, and 15 is not going to work. I want it to randomly pick so it has a more lifelike feel to the game. So I'm going to go into my operators, and I want to pick a random number between the one I found that works for me is 160 to 200 degrees. This is when it hits the paddle. And when it hits the paddle, again, I want this ball to be moving. So we'll go, again, we'll keep that 10 steps. You can program it a little bit later so that each time it hits the paddle, it goes a little bit faster. So this is the interaction with the paddle. But now I want control. That's if it's the paddle. What if it's not finding the paddle? Then it's finding and searching for the kill zone. So if we are touching the color red, so throw that in there, pick this, let's change this color here. So I got the little hand there. I can go over to red and I can actually choose the red. Then basically what I want to happen is for everything to stop. My game has come to an end. I've lost a life. So let's test this out. So again, when I hit the spacebar, bounce, kill zone. Spacebar, bounce, kill zone. Everything stops. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure that we can get this paddle moving. So this is the script for the ball. Now we're going to create a script for that paddle. So we're going to click on the paddle, and everything you see here, there's nothing programmed for that paddle. We've started the game, so the ball starts when the spacebar is pushed. So it's a good idea when the spacebar is pushed that we can start controlling the paddle. And we want the paddle always to be moving. So that will be forever moving left and right. And we're going to use, I'm going to use the mouse to, I'm going to use the mouse as my paddle. So the mouse, we want it moving left and right. So that's going to be on the X coordinate. We're going to set X not to 0. We're going to set the X to sense where my mouse is on the X axis. So let's see. Let's stop all programs from running. And if we hit the spacebar, okay, now we're bouncing. And now we're playing my 1 player Pong. So from here, what you can do is you can go and you can make your own brick breaker game and challenge yourself to do maybe actual brick breakers where you have to hit the brick so many times, or you can program it so that each time the ball hits the paddle goes a little bit faster. You can add a counter. You can do all those kinds of things. So this is just a quick introduction on how to make a brick breaker alternative. I call it one player Pong using Scratch.